Today, I want to walk you through exactly how to build a YouTube channel that actually makes money. This is not from theory. This is not from just me randomly pulling shit together. This is from actual experience, making over $10 million from YouTube Organic. And this is all the things I've learned, the failures, the pitfalls, the successes, everything in between. And I've really distilled it down to really 6 first principles that all come into YouTube and have kind of shaped how I view the platform and how to actually use it for your business. So if you've been stuck not getting any views, not building your audience, and most importantly, not making any money from your channel and actually getting leads and actually nurturing leads for your business, this is for you. So let's dive into the first one here, which I call your IVP. So creating your own IVP. Now, what the hell is an ideal viewer profile? So I got this from the concept of an ideal client profile, so an ICP, but it's slightly different. So the first thing I'll read here is, before you make a single video, you need to know exactly who you're making it for. Your IVP is the person who is most likely to watch, trust, and eventually buy from you. Let me break this down in terms of what you need to do here and what I've experienced here. When you may have a video idea, you need to make it for one type of person with one type of problem. Now, your channel can have different types of people you help with different types of videos, but every video has to have one sole person in mind. So when you're envisioning what they are, what they're thinking, what they're doing, it's one person. Here's where I got this from and where this actually makes even more sense. Tim Ferriss, this is how he structured his podcast. So I actually heard him say this in a podcast. I have not been able to find this episode in a long time. It was from probably 6 or 7 years ago, maybe even more. He would basically take every podcast episode is hitting 20% of his audience. So part of it's biohacking, startups, lifestyle design, health, or whatever else, or just a fun interest of his. And he would basically just go in a cycle, hitting these different pockets of audiences. But every single time, that entire podcast, he was focused on how does the biohacking side, how does the business side, how does the startup side, how does the whatever side fit this pocket? And he's not worried about anybody else. So if it gets less downloads, less views, whatever, he didn't care. And this is how you actually focus and build raving fans, which we'll talk about later. And the only way to do that is by creating your ideal viewer profile and making content specifically for them. No one else, just for them. So this is the way to really understand and get inside the heads of the people that are actually would buy from you in the future, because you need to get in front of what they're already watching, which is here. What content do your ideal viewers already watch? What channels are they subscribed to? What types of content do they love? Talking head, educational, vlog, skit, whatever. So let me break this down. You need to make content that your ideal clients are used to consuming. Let me show you an example. This video right here is a screen share, talking head video with minimal to no editing and me going off into a kind of explanation or teaching mode, dare I say. This is what people that I sell to, people we help them grow their businesses through YouTube. This is what the content they're watching. They're watching tutorialized content. They're watching talking head content. They're watching stuff from smaller niche channels to learn a very specific skill set to help them grow their business. They're also very interested in learning, growing their business. They want to learn the nooks and crannies of everything from sales, marketing, fulfillment, AI, whatever. They're down for a 40-minute video. What they don't want is a 3-minute choppy video that has no substance. They don't want just empty snack calories. They want something a lot more than that. So that's why this video is here. What channels do they subscribe to? You need to think, what other channels do they actually hit the subscribe button for? Okay. What do they actually do in those channels? What's the content like? How is it edited? Is it talking head? Is it short videos? Are they highly produced? Are they, webcam based? Are they off the phone? What are they? And this may seem like a very simple concept, but if you don't meet somebody where they are visually, you're never going to reach them, because the only way you can relate to them is you're basically looking to take somebody else's audience or take somebody else's attention they've garnered, and you're trying to capitalize on it little by little by little, building trust and bringing them into your world as well. So that's kind of the concept here. But the key distinction is your IVP leads to your ICP, but on YouTube, you need to think about the viewer first, not the buyer. Once you have the viewer, you can then build the trust, but you must do it in this order. There's a few things I'll go through about YouTube. It's there's an order of operations that you must obey. It's the law of YouTube. And this is one of them. If you try to sell people before they trust and watch your content, if you come out of the gates just ripping to sell, it doesn't work like most platforms. So this is just a way to get your head around. I found that I did this on accident over the years. When we built the channel in the past, this was what we did looking back. And this is how I was able to get this concept distilled down in here. So that's part number one. Number two, be unique, but not in the way you think. So most people think unique means reinventing yourself. It doesn't. What uniqueness actually means is this: structure your content in a way that allows you to deliver the most value possible. Play to your natural strengths as a communicator and a thinker. So I'm doing it right now. I even have the example. I'm organized with a Google Doc. So let me put it this way. I'm like very dyslexic or like right on the edge of being like dyslexic enough where reading off a prompter is pretty much impossible for me. And I also don't like the slideshow because then I can't see what's coming next exactly. It's like a little too ahead and I might get ahead of myself. And it's also too, like, it feels too rushed. For me, teaching like this, how I've done all my course material over the years, is how I've made hundreds of videos like this over the years. This is how I feel the strongest. This is where I can just sit back, just literally in the room here by myself filming, and I can do this for 20, 30, 40, 60 minutes. Easy. I don't feel rushed. I'm not talking too quickly. I talk pretty fast anyways. I'm not overly, having to manage all this stuff. Super important, because if you aren't relaxed, if you aren't there to serve, the viewer can tell. They can tell immediately. And this is like, you being unique is like embracing your own strengths and your own way of presenting on camera. So you don't have to put on a character. You shouldn't put on a character. You don't have to do things that you don't feel comfortable doing. Yeah, you may have a little bit of stage fright being on camera in general, but you don't have to do a video like someone else. That's not the point of the platform. That's literally against the whole point. The point of it is to be creatively expressive, is that however the hell you want, making any type of videos you want, any type of way, it can work. So that's just how I do it. But the key thing is tying into the IVP. My ideal viewer profile that I want to serve and ultimately sell to, build their trust enough to be able to sell to them, like content like this. I watch stuff like this all the time. I'm my own customer. I love sitting here watching, talking to content. I can put it in 2x speed, learn a ton of value from it. I could probably watch them almost as a podcast. Like, this video could be consumed with the video off. You could just be listening. And you have to really get into IVP's head to understand that your unique way doesn't have to be reinventing the whole process here. It's very simple. So like I said earlier, like, the principle about this is when you make the content you love to consume and your IVP loves to consume, it becomes effortless. This video is a Google Doc prep that I was excited to make, and I just had to flip on the camera and pop some lights on. Good to go. Building a YouTube channel that makes money really comes down to being willing to create content you wish existed. The content that stops you dead in your scroll, the content that changes the way you view the world. So this is like where YouTube gets a little fucking cheesy, but it's pretty damn true, where if you make stuff that you want to see exist, it will resonate and work. And this is what makes it different than short form, because with short form, especially short form like Instagram and TikTok, like those two stand out the most for this, you can pretty much follow trends and get growth, because the platform is pretty much incentivized to keep people on around the similar types of content, regardless of what it is. So like almost creates these like echo chambers of content and viewership, where with YouTube, it's a lot more diverse and there's a lot more depth. So you have the ability to create all different types of content and the stuff you truly wish existed, even if there's not a trend for it, because that will really resonate, come across on camera. I always tell this to clients, and I always tell this to myself as well. I remind myself this. You can fake anything for 30 seconds. You can't fake shit for 30 minutes on camera, period. Like right now, I'm going to be here I've been here for what, 5-10 minutes? I have no idea. I'm going to be here for a little while. This would be impossible to fake. This is where when you have build someone time on brand over time, this builds a trust. This is why the IVP to ICP to Raving fan to way down the funnel works so much better. So key thing here. Third part. So this is one that I only learned recently. So this is what I call your manufactured story versus your real story. This is a key thing. And I have like a story video out my channel now that's actually done really well. It's got probably, between 500 and 1,000 views at the time of recording this. And I've got tons of messages about it. We've had tons of clients message us about it. We've had lots of people just really interested in working with us and myself who have seen that video. And that was telling a real story. You don't need to make up some success story, some I made it story. Like, you need to just tell your authentic story, and not the one for the 3-minute reel, not the one for the landing page, not the one for the bio. This is the one that people want to get stuck in with you for 30 to 60 minutes. And they're like, who the fuck are you? Like, what have you done? Where have you failed? How can I relate to you and see the human in you and make a real connection? So that's what this is here. The manufacturer was always a filtered story. Like, this is like super common. Like, we see this, you don't see it on YouTube as much, but you see it like in stories. You see it in like really heavily edited reels. You see this in ads too, where it's like, that's not like the full story. There's a lot of missing components here and pieces. All the fuck ups are removed. And this is the one that you want the world to perceive you. The real version is unedited, and it's usually difficult as hell to tell. And I always tell people this is like, if you have a hard time making the video and you feel like anxiety about telling a certain part of your story, a certain path, a certain way something happened, you should for sure tell it. And even though that's hard to kind of probably process, that's what will build trust with your prospects and build an audience of raving fans faster and deeper than anything else. No one ever judges somebody for sharing a story, ever. They only judge them if it comes out that that wasn't true. Think about that. Think of a single time someone was extremely vulnerable, they told a story, and they were judging the person because of a hardship or because of something that just went totally south for them. I've literally never seen it. But what I have seen, someone making up a story or filtering and leaving out a lot of the details, getting down the road, and then it's like, that's not even true. That's not even how it happened or how it went down. That's where there's always a problem. So this is where the trust is truly built here. Like I said, authenticity is not a content strategy. It's a choice to stop protecting yourself from judgment. Your story, your real story is what builds trust. And the trust is what turns a viewer into a raving fan into a buyer. So key thing. Number 4 is treating YouTube as the hub for your business. So YouTube is not just another platform, it's the engine. YouTube needs to be the hub for your personal brand. I'm going to highlight this and I have it bolded and in bigger font. YouTube needs to be the hub for your personal brand. Why? So there's all kinds of places to get attention. Like you've got LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Reels, Facebook, ads across all these platforms. You have email, you got everything you can imagine under the sun to get attention, but you need a hub, you need a home. The home 10 years ago, 15 years ago was your website. Not anymore. Now people, in a way, they treat Instagram as like their home of kind of like their brand and message and whatever, which is fine. But here's an easy way to illustrate how it's not really a hub. Your Instagram feed could have 200 videos. Like I do content there. It's great. It's fine. It serves a very specific purpose that's really, really good at what it does. But if someone wanted to spend an hour with me, they would have to watch every single reel on the channel, maybe even like, or on the page, maybe even like 3 or 4 times over. Think about that. Have you ever gone to someone's account and watched every single reel? No, that would be crazy. Like that, maybe like a comedy page with a handful of skits or whatever, but you're not going to just go binge an informational account through the whole thing. So case in point here is time on brand. And that's why YouTube is the hub. Time on brand determines whether someone's going to become a raving fan and buy from you or just lump you with the other guys, the other gals that really isn't a place where they're going to actually do business with you and want to be a part of what you're doing. This is what makes the whole thing different. So when you have it as a hub and think of it as a hub, this is different. So here we have the content, community, and conversions. This is like pretty simplistic format, but I always like to remember of like YouTube is a community and it's always been one. It's always been its own ecosystem, its own universe, and you need to abide by the rules and you need to make sure you're building community there if you want to excel. So content, number 1, is what do you actually believe? People don't follow you for information. They follow you for your worldview and how you show up. Your belief system is your differentiating factor. Like full stop. How you view the world is all that fucking matters to these people. Even if you're, and this is like where we're getting like a little bit off the deep end of like the point of YouTube, but from like a marketing standpoint, you would think, well, they're there for the value. They just want the value. They just want the information. They're here for a specific thing. No, they tell themselves that. That's not why they're there. They're sticking around because they're interested in you. They want to hear from you. They want to know your story. They want to hear your failures. And they want to hear your wins. And everyone has, and if you consume YouTube, which you definitely do if you're watching this, if you need to rack your brain and think like, who do I resonate with and I'm like rooting for? What YouTuber that I watch who I've never fucking met am I rooting for? Do I want to see succeed? Do I love hearing about what's going on in their life or their business or whatever? Everyone has one that consumes YouTube content. So your ideal viewers are no different. They want to see what you actually believe in and around the content all the time. Now, obviously the content has the core value and message you're giving, but there's other things around it. Next is the community, which I call the invisible tribe. This isn't about like commenters or Discord groups or any random like facets of that. This is the community that forms around your content. People who watch your long-form videos feel like they genuinely know you, even though they've never met. That's depth. There's a term that gets thrown around like in the YouTube space, like YouTube friends. Like you have like, oh, I've got YouTube friends. Like, no, you just like, they're people that have watched the content for such a long time that they literally feel like friends of the person who makes the video or the group that makes the videos, yet they've never seen them. They've never interacted. They've never done anything with them in person. They just have seen them through the screen for months or years at a time. And this is community. Community can be built one way. So we've done this in our businesses before. We've literally had tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of people watching our content, turning into tens of thousands of buyers of our products and courses, communities, and coaching through a one-way community. We built the community online and they consumed the content, built the trust, and went one step further into our communities and products. This was the same flow. But it's, the key thing I want to point out is like, it's always the backwards way, meaning it's never like an ad is like, okay, this ad is working, it's converting, it's got a good hook, it's standing out, it's unique, it's different, the guarantee is good, there's like checks all these boxes. That's cool. But that's not really trust. That's like a completely backwards approach. It's like garnering attention with the most aggressive claim possible to then keep them, from falling out all the way down to the bottom of the funnel. Here, the conversions are earned trust. It's not a manufactured urgency through scarcity or some other mechanism. It's actually earned trust that has legs. It lasts for a long time, not a short time. So, or if someone resonates with you, resonates with what you believe and feels part of our community, will they trust you enough to buy? Very simple. So here we have is this open? Yeah. I've always been saying this in the video, but now I'll just play it here to make it easy. You have your ideal viewer profile, your ideal viewer that you want to see. Then they become a raving fan. That's in the middle. You can't skip this. So you have this process here. I'm not blurring out here. Got the IVP here, raving fan, buyer, in this order. You need to go down the chain in order. That's a law of YouTube and a law of just content nowadays, where it's like, you can't just trick people. You can't fucking make stuff that isn't valuable. And you also can't nurture that relationship and make them a raving fan. So you want to live in this cycle of going through these three things. So this is and I could go over this one 10 times over of how important this is, because if you view it as a hub, you treat it differently. Instead of looking at YouTube as a cost, it's an investment. It's a center. It's a must-have. It's not like it's expensive to get content. Yeah, like good content production on YouTube can be very expensive. It's a real investment, whether it's strategist, editor, your own time, the content ideas, the gear, all this stuff. It's not a nothing investment, but the investment is significant. I can't describe it. It's like I call it a long hockey stick, which is like a little on tangent here, but it's relevant. A long hockey stick for YouTube is like, imagine a hockey stick is shaped like this. It's a short head and long tail like that. YouTube is a long hockey stick. It's got a super long, takes weeks, months, years, who knows how to start to get the upturn. But once it goes, it fucking goes, just shoots up. It's like a compounding interest paying off in dividends you can never explain, because it's it's a platform built on trust. And when it's built on trust and authenticity and reality, people love it, and it can grow exponentially like that. So that's a little bit of a tangent, but I thought it was pretty important here. Next piece here is the idea machine. So when you have a channel and you're treating it as a hub, and the videos have got to be valuable, they have to be 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever long it needs to be. You're like, how am I going to make videos like daily, weekly, monthly for years? Like, how am I even going to do that? Well, you need to have an idea machine that feeds it. So there's really 3 buckets of where every video you'd ever need to be. If you're in like the info and coaching space or any type of online service, or you're like a YouTuber who's maybe doing like affiliate offers or school groups or things like that, there's really only like 3 things an educational creator ever needs to do. Problems you're solving for clients. So you document the real challenges, like specific stuff that you're solving for the clients. In our case, it's specific things on ideation, their offer construction and how it fits into organic YouTube, their sales process, their actual content creation in terms of the scripting, what goes in the video, the presentation, the editing, the post-production stuff, the looking at the data, what to make next. Like, this loop is really important. And if you ignore that, you're going to be left pretty much in the dust. But in reality, these are all the things that I can make content about. And it's really easy because like this document that I'm going through, this wasn't overly complicated to make. I'm just going through basically the major things. If I wanted the first principles, not the tactical shit, like the first principles of how to actually make money with YouTube, this is what I did. This is what I would do again. This is what we're doing right now. This is what I have our clients do. So it creates a loop here. Problems you're facing yourself daily. So you need to be your own journalist of your life and experiences. This stems outside of your business, by the way. So if you're helping someone with a very specific problem, this reaches beyond that. Don't forget that. It could be a personal struggle. I've had videos about personal stories and personal struggles, and some of them have been like 5 minutes, some of them have been like an hour. It really depends on what it is. But these daily problems you're facing build trust. People resonate. And they also are oftentimes very directly related to problems your ideal clients are likely facing. Your viewers are likely facing similar things if they're like you, which is a pretty high chance. So keep that in mind. And then stories from both of the above. So you can also tell a story. So how might I word this? You can tell a story of how basically problems you were solving for clients, problems you were having, and how it relates to them or you or both or vice versa. So I think that's like the 3 ways I pull content. I don't like to rely on the algorithm stuff, because here's what happens when and this is where I differ in a lot of ways. If you make content like everybody else, the odds of getting results of the content, meaning it actually makes fucking money, is so low. Because I have seen hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos get 10 outlier breakout videos, 10,000, 50, 100,000, million views. I've seen it all. And I've seen in a majority of cases, those don't make any fucking money. Why? Because they're chasing a trend. They're riding views. I'm going to talk into how that works in the next thing. It's not actually building value for their ideal viewer or their business, but they're getting views. So it's kind of like, it looks like it's working, even though it's not, which happens far too often. And when you stick to these buckets of content, you're always focused on serving your person, period. No one else. So I could belabor this home for like an hour. I'll leave it here. But this is a really key thing to not forget, that ideas are not that hard to do. You just have to be willing to document everything, because everything you're doing is content. So we'll leave it there. Last one here I want to talk about is one that's pretty important to point out. And this is how I view the whole platform. So YouTube is a supply and demand platform by nature. Like by default, that's what it is. That's how the whole fucking thing works. So I'm going to dive into this here and explain. I have a visual as well. It'll make it a little bit easier. It is super simple to think of it this way. Supply and demand curves dominate almost everything in our world. We just don't like to admit it, or we don't notice it. YouTube is no different. Most people overthink this to death, but at its core, that's what it is. All it comes down to is these layers. So the topic you choose, the type of content. So like, is it talking head, documentary, tutorial, green screen, split screen, vlogging, like fill in the blank. And there's like all types of content you could make. The delivery style, the explanation, or I'll go back one. The delivery style could be like, is it scripted? Is it like this, where it's like, I'm almost like lecturing, like speaking, but in a very casual way? Is it paced out with like a storyboard to it? I've had for example, when I'm doing a story video, way different energy. I'm like sitting in a different chair. I'm sitting back. I'm like looking away a bunch. I'm telling different stories. That's a different energy. Then you have the explanation. So how you break a concept down. Do you do it as succinctly as possible? Are you going for like the tightest amount of words possible, the fewest amount of words? Or are you trying to just belabor shit home? Like I typically go for just try to say it 4 or 5 different ways to get it to stick. And it also sticks in my brain as well. That's kind of how I like to present content. Then you've got the angle. So what's your unique take on a common idea? There's also like contrarian thinking. It's like similar, like next door neighbor to that basically. But you need to just think of like, what's the angle? These are the only things you really have, like the topic, the content type, delivery style, explanation, and angle. Everything else is pretty much supplementary to that. And it's pretty key that you don't lose sight of that. So I'm going to show a visual here of what this looks like. So the two scenarios are pretty similar. Zoom in and make it a little better. So YouTube is a supply and demand platform. It literally, I want to just look at the screen here. We just look at the screen together. We basically you want to be in the high demand, low supply. Why? So if you are in the low demand and high supply, you are in the worst place possible. So this is when you are making videos that have a ton of people making videos just like you. So I'm going to play this picture super clear. Imagine there was 1,000 channels making talking head videos about growing your business on YouTube with a split screen Google Doc, unscripted like this. I'm talking not 10, I'm talking 1,000. That's a super saturated market. There's not that many viewers that are interested in learning to grow their channel for their business, where there can be 1,000 channels getting 10 to 100,000 views a video. Just give the math, like it just breaks. It's like there's not like 50 million people or whatever the number. I can't even do the math on that. There's not that many people, trust me. And when you zoom out, it's like, okay, so what's the inverse of that? Like the inverse of that is goal. You want tons of people who want the information or want whatever it is desperately. And there's so few people, or creators in this case, there's so few channels and videos on the topic. This here is an outlier video. This is the definition of an outlier video. When you have a video or a channel, a video on a channel that has, let's say, 1,000 subscribers, and they get a video that does 100,000 views, this is why. So, oh, the algorithm, and it's like, oh, the thumbnail and the click-through rate. Yes, all that's important. But in reality, the reason why is because there's a ton of people that are hungry for the content, and they want that information, that style, the editing, the packaging, so the title, the thumbnail, the music in it, whatever it is. There's something that clicks. And YouTube is like, ooh, people want this. We're going to push this out to as many people as we can. And that is how an audience is built. That's how you get more IVPs, ideal viewer profiles, into your world following this method. So how do you do that? Like, that sounds great. Well, there's lots of ways to do it. And you have to look at each video individualistically and look at how each video fits in the puzzle of your business and your channel. Business first, channel second. But the reality is, all the principles we've covered in this video is really the key components, kind of the building blocks getting to there. Because now that we have your IVP set, like actually, we'll recap it. You have your ideal viewer profile set. You are being unique in the way you're presenting the content. So it's like you are being you throughout the whole thing. So you're being unique in the ways that you are showing up for the video, for the content, for all the stuff. You're actually telling your story weaved into the video, or weaved in through the channel, or weaved in throughout how the content's presented. It's not overly manufactured. It's not uncharacteristic of you. You're treating YouTube as a hub. So you're taking the channel and the video with a serious tone. It's not just a dumping ground for content. It's not an afterthought. It's a first and foremost thing you're doing. You have the idea machines going because you're actually actively in the trenches with your clients, in your business, in whatever you're doing. So when you're in the weeds, you understand what to talk about. You know the problems. You're not a hired actor. You know what the hell is going on. All stacks. Then this leads to the supply and demand, which when you know all that stuff, you've had all that's always in your head, and you're constantly thinking about this. You're always thinking of, who is this for? Why does the video exist? What's the point of it? How can I tell my story? What am I doing daily? What have I learned? Where have I failed? What can I teach? Etc. Just on and on and on. This becomes obvious. You will look at YouTube, you will open YouTube, and you will just see like, oh, I wish I had this video. I guarantee you there's a shitload of people that want the same one. There you go. So when you have high demand, low supply, you will win. And we work with clients on this like ad nauseum, and I break this down in all of our stuff with our clients, because this is, if I can just get this into your head, we can have massive breakthroughs. But if we're fighting an uphill battle, trying to dump more algorithm videos into the giant pile of supply with low demand, you're going to make the best video possible on the top. I'm talking scripting is on point, thumbnails amazing, title is golden, everything is just fucking perfect. It will get no views, I promise, because that is not how you actually win in a supply and demand curve environment like this. You're going to lose every time. So very simple. I'll leave this one here. We work with our clients this in depth and go through this because this is like so important. And I just wanted to get a little bit of a tirade here on this one. So last point here is why most channels plateau. So they pick a niche based on what they know, not based on what the market's actually asking for. They create content in a crowded room, and they wonder why no one is listening. Creators who break through aren't always the most talented. They're the ones who found the underserved pockets of people. See, I can't read. I'm way better when I just speak off the cuff, but I want to read these points exactly. But case in point, make content and make videos that you really like to make, and it fits your strengths. Mine is not reading, obviously, but just as a reminder, pockets of questions of people are people are typing into YouTube or scrolling on their phone or hitting the desktop refresh, into YouTube that nobody's answering well yet. Find the gap, own it before the market catches up. This is huge. And I just think that like, if you can, YouTube is growing, again, billions of active users, endless amounts of views and watch time. It's like infinitely growing at a rapid pace, growing in all sorts of markets in every niche you can imagine. The key thing is that if you swim with the rest of the fish, you're going to drown. You need to carve your own lane, your own path with your story, your content, your message, everything under the sun. And the simplest way to always keep true to that is if you just had one thing to think about, just one concept, just make the video you wish existed. So that's the single biggest, if you, from all this me rambling on this topic, it's very, and I probably jumped around quite a bit, but I truly feel these are like the major things that we learned to make $10+ million from YouTube. All of this was through our own trial and error. I didn't have some person teaching me every way along the, like everything along the way. This is, we would try something, we'd either make it work or royally fuck it up. Most times we fucked it up and learned a ton throughout the process. And this is all the lessons learnings of that we now do for myself, for our clients, and have kind of just been snowballing ever since. But just make the stuff you wish existed. It'll just start you off on the right path. So that's going to end this one. We'll see you in the next.